Good evening. It's Bill again. Hello, I'm Bill. I think I must be going through my what's it called, a midlife crisis now? Well, I've been smoking pot for the last fucking 32 years. I'm 50 in April. Actually, yeah, let's make a movie. Fuck it, it's my day off today. Actually, can I just see what hat I want to wear? I bought some new hats today. I'm going through this is my midlife crisis movie, right? I bought a new jacket, so I thought it looked quite nice. It goes with hair quite nice, doesn't it? God, yeah, 49. Actually, you can see the light. Look at that now. This is my midlife crisis now. Well, I'm aiming on about 100. I've got a few problems. Yeah, a brief rundown. This is my real face. Tough shit. Can't get this fucking camera. They're bringing out a Galaxy 7. Apparently, Galaxy are bringing out a Galaxy 7. Will you put the camera in the middle, please? You have your camera over here, right? On the Galaxy 6, right? On the Samsung Galaxy 6, you've got the camera here in the corner. So you've got to look in that direction. To look directly at the camera, you've got to look in that direction, and then I can't really see what I'm filming very well. You see, I can't really see what I'm filming if the camera's in the wrong place. So for the Galaxy 7, will you move the camera to the middle of the screen? If you move it to the middle, yes, I am getting old. Hell of a lot older than you know. I'm early. Or maybe I'm very late. Maybe I'm extremely late. Maybe I'm a hell of a lot later than you think. Or maybe I've always been on time. No, I'm having a midlife crisis. I'm not worried about the fucking face. I mean, look at that, man. How many wrinkles can you get? You know what I mean? Shouldn't worry about it. Enjoy it. Yeah. Anyway, yes, my midlife crisis is this, right? I haven't been to the dentist for 10 years, you see. I can't go to the dentist. Because this is my I'm aiming to live to be 100, you see. I know it looks a bit, I'm trying to talk to the face. You see, the problem is I'm trying to talk to the face, you see, like you do when you're talking to a mirror. When you talk to a mirror, you talk to your face, yes? But because the camera is over there, the camera's on this side, over here, it's in the wrong place. So I can't really sort of look at my face exactly. I've got to look to one side all the time. I've always got to look to one side if I want to look at my face, you see? Do you know what I mean? So if you put the camera, would you put the camera in the middle bit there, just on the top bit, just on the top bit there, right in the centre. Put it in the dead centre of the camera on the horizontal view, yeah? For the Galaxy 7, Samsung Galaxy 7, put the camera in the centre, top centre, so that I can talk to myself like this sort of thing. Yeah, something like that. That just trips me off a little bit, that does. But anyway, yes, I was just thinking, I've been to Luton today, so, it's my midlife crisis, yeah. What a nice jacket, like. But my midlife crisis is my teeth. Don't give a fuck about the face, I mean, fuck it, I'm not the one who's got to look at it. So don't really give a fuck about the face, man. You're the ones who've got to look at it. Get it? Why should I give a fuck about my face? You're the ones who've got to look at it. Anyway, yeah. But, now, my teeth are fucked. But I've still got most of my top teeth here, you see. Over here, see? Some of them are missing. Some of these could be replaced, like, with crowns. Maybe an emerald, if you give me all your money. If you give me all your money, maybe I could buy an emerald to go in that tooth there, to feather on. These teeth are still quite sturdy so far, touch wood. Touch wood, these teeth, these front teeth here, are still quite sturdy, like that. And all the way back there as well. The top deck are okay. There's a couple of broken teeth in the top deck, but that's about all. On the bottom deck of the teeth, on the bottom jaw, the dentist destroyed all my teeth. It's on the other film, you know, What's the Tooth, because they destroyed all my teeth, the dentist did. And all I've got is crunchy, is the bottom parts of the tooth. I've still got the bottom parts of my tooth, you see there, in the gum. If you look at the gum here, it's not gum, it's tooth. I've still got the bottom part of my tooth there. Yeah, that's still there, yeah? Now that's my real teeth under that silver, well, and the filling there. That's still real. Now, if I go to the dentist, if I go to the dentist, this is my midlife crisis. Honest to God, this is my midlife crisis. If I go to the dentist says the only thing they can do, and they've been telling me this for 10 years, that the only thing they can do is take out all my teeth. They want to take out all my teeth so that all I have is gums, right, and give me false teeth. Because my teeth are a bit rotten, so what the dentist wants to do is destroy all my teeth because they're a bit rotten. What? But they're still there. The teeth, for the most part, are still there. They're still there. But the dentist won't touch my teeth unless they take out all these teeth as well. The dentist will not repair my teeth unless they take out all of these teeth and these teeth here. These teeth, I've only got 2 bottom teeth left. I don't know if that's real, because I had 3 teeth and one of them turned out to be a bloody, one of them turned out to be a little tooth on a spike. You know, no wonder that fell out. See, the dentist, I've told you this on the dentist movie before. What's the tooth thing again? But all I'm saying is, I can't get them repaired. So that's my midlife crisis. Anyway, what I'm saying is, I went to Luton today. Yeah, I'm drifting off the point. I'm just repeating myself. Sorry about that, guys. So I went to Luton today. Funny, all the white boys have very short hair in Luton, don't they? I didn't see any white rastas. We got white rastas in Hatfield. There's a few white rastas I've seen in Hatfield town centre, but I didn't see many in Luton. Everyone has short hair in Luton. Weird. You know, you get the odd rastas in Hatfield. There's one guy. I know one guy actually. He's completely bald on top, right, in Hatfield. I haven't seen him for a while. He had lovely silver hair, long silver hair, really long silver hair. I hope he's still about. He wore long black leather overcoat. You know, the long black leather overcoat. Completely bald on top, this guy was. He's beautiful. I haven't seen him around for the last year or so, or last 6 months. Do you know how it is when you live in a small town like Hatfield, yeah? You know, you're not going to know my channel unless you know me, are you? So you won't know about my channel unless you know about me. So, I mean, there's this one guy I know in Hatfield. He's completely bald on top, right? Completely. He's got his, on his crown. I bet he's got this beautiful silver hair. Really long hair. Long coat. Black leather coat sort of thing. And I thought, that's pure style. It's gorgeous. Fucking amazing. I love it. I love that look. That's a bit like, you know, with the Rocky Horror... Do you remember Richard O'Brien in the Rocky Horror Picture Show? This is one thing I don't understand about hair. You know, you lose your crown, but then you shave off all your hair. I think if you lose, you know, once you lose, if you're losing your hair, if I was you, what I would do is grow the rest of it. It looks good. Do you know, long hair, when you're bald on top, long hair does look really, really good, I think. I do think long hair looks good on bald blokes. It does. I seriously think long hair looks really sexy on a bald bloke. You know, if you're bald on top and you grow your hair long, the rest of your hair long, I think that is really quite sexy, actually. Because Richard O'Brien did that, didn't he? Do you remember Richard? Do you remember? I suppose people are younger these days, so don't remember history, do they? I suppose people don't remember history, do they? Do you remember Richard O'Brien in the Rocky Horror Picture Show in the 1970s? Oh, of course you don't remember the 1970s, do you? If you're sort of like 20 or 30 years old, whatever, you won't remember the blooming 1970s, will you? Because they destroyed the videos, didn't they? They destroyed the video and the TV. Do you remember when they destroyed the video and the television? I've still got my videos and I've still got my television as well. Well, I haven't got the television. Well, I've got the television to play the videos, but I've got the television, analog television, to play my videos still, because I still watch all my films and all that. But I'm just saying, because I've got a hell of a lot of videos. I've got about 10. Well, the police counted them once. Actually, the police counted all my videos once. I'm holding a joint, so I'm going to test out my hats in a minute. I was arrested like in 2007. That's right. Do you know, I've been making movies. I'm 50 in April, you see. Great. Fantastic. I'm 50 in April. Wow. Phew. Halfway home. Well, I may mean to be 100, like. But I'm 50. In April, I'll be 50 years old, like. Great. I've made it this far. That's 50 years of history. Wow. I've lived through 50 years of fucking history, man. Do you know, I saw the Berlin Wall when I was in Australia. No, listen, when I was in Australia, and I keep changing subjects when I start on a subject. I don't know, crazy. When I was in Australia, 1990, I watched the Berlin Wall fall down. I was 23 then, about 23 when I went to Australia in 1990. 24. No, 23, because I was 24 when I was in Australia, that's fine. I remember, I was 23 when I went to Australia. Spent a year in Australia. I spent 6 months in Sydney. Tripping off my face on LSD in Sydney, Australia, man. Sydney was LSD town. I went to Sydney, like, and I was staying. I lived in Sydney, Australia, for 6 months in 1990. Do you know that is 25 years ago? Is it 26 years ago now? That was 26 years ago, man. I was in Australia. Fucking hell. I was tripping off my face on LSD for 6 months in Sydney. I tell you, seriously, honest to God. I was staying in the travellers' hostels, like, you know, met loads of hippies and shit, and we were tripping off our faces. In fact, half the I found this one hostel when I was in Sydney, Australia. I was living there for about 3 months or 2 or 3 months, I think, in Barncloof. Do you remember Barncloof? Do you remember Barncloof Hostel? Does anybody remember? I don't suppose anyone would. Is Doug Robertson still about? Yeah, I had this mate, right? Anyway, no, you won't know. This is just for me, really. You know, I'm just talking to myself with my reminiscing. I'm reminiscing. Midlife crisis. I'm reminiscing. Now, when I was in Australia, like, I lived in this hostel, Barncloof Hostel, the Pink House, it was called, in the red light district of Australia. It was not Oxford Street. In fact, I didn't actually come out as gay straight away because I missed out on the Oxford Street scene. Funny thing is, 1990, that was when I was on the hippie trail. That was when I was sort of like coming out of the closet in 1990. That was when I was sort of coming out of the closet in 1990. I didn't actually go to any of the clubs in Oxford Street, because Oxford Street in Sydney, Australia. I have to go back to Sydney actually one day. Yeah, sometime. I tell you what, that'd be a good holiday actually. I might have to do that next year. Book holiday to Australia. Go back to Australia for a month. I'm sure I can get a few weeks off work, a couple of weeks off work. Oxford Street, Australia. Because when I went to Australia, when I was in Australia in 1990, I was on a hippie trail, you see. And what happened was I took loads and loads of LSD. I was taking LSD twice, well, not loads of LSD actually, it was only twice a week. Funny thing with LSD, I always found this about LSD. No, I always found this about LSD was that you could only do it like twice in a week. You know, well, I did it on a Saturday night and a Sunday night. Because I was actually working. I was actually working for a while. No, when I was living in Sydney, in fact, I was working. Yeah, I was working. When I was living in Sydney, Australia, I was working for a shoe company. That's right, because that's how I got into, I got some marijuana there. In fact, I'll tell you how I've got into marijuana heavy, big time. Let's take a trip back. Melbourne. Melbourne was when I first started smoking pot, hugely. It was I stayed with friends of my mum's, the Hunters. Friends of my parents, the Hunters, in Melbourne. That's right, I was staying in Melbourne in about February. No, well, I went to, I'll tell you about Australia, fuck it. I dropped myself again. Okay, what is right? Yeah, I went to Adelaide first and stayed with me Auntie Kay and my Uncle Ted. You know, and saw me and my cousins like Steve and Jim in Australia in Adelaide for about a month. Well, no, a couple of weeks probably. And then I went to Melbourne. stayed with the Hunters, and I met and I saw because God, was it? Is it Steve and Dave? Steve and Dave, wasn't it? Steve and Dave Hunter. We used to sit in the. I was staying at their house with their mum and dad. Like, I can't remember your mum's name now. I can't remember the names. Oh, bad memory. I'll have to get my memory back one day. Laura and all that. But anyway, me, Dave and Steve, like, they were really heavy into marijuana, like, you know. Every night after they finished work, like, I was staying with the Hunters in Melbourne. We spent the night in a garage with a bong. They had a bong, and we were smoking. And they used to grow, you know, their friends and everyone. Everyone used to grow marijuana in Melbourne. You know, a lot of people used to grow marijuana in Melbourne. And I used to sort of like, and they sort of got me onto the bong, like, you know, and we were getting stoned off my face totally every fucking night in the garage with the Hunters. I think it was Steve and Dave, wasn't it? Yeah. That was a good time, 1990. Do you remember 1990? 25 years ago now, guys. My God, we all must be about 50, in our 50s by now, aren't we? Well, most of our generation is 50s, because the Hunters used to live in Wood Close, didn't they? Because it was Mary and, God, I can't remember your dad's name. It was Mary, wasn't it? Mary Hunter. And, was it Dennis? I can't remember offhand. But, it was, you know, but I was staying with the Hunters in Australia, in Melbourne. And we're sitting in the garage. Well, yeah, I'm tripping, reminiscing, you know. It's sitting in the garage because they were motorbikes. They were doing dirt bike racing, wasn't it? In Melbourne, they were doing dirt bike racing. And sorry, got my glasses a bit. Doing dirt bike racing, and yeah, they spend the night in the garage and they were playing around with the motorbikes, and we were sitting there smoking bongs every fucking night for a few weeks, you know. At the Hunters, that was great fun. And Steve, you're a fucking sexy cunt. But anyway, that was 25 years ago, 26 years ago. You know, both straight blokes. I mean, I was sort of straightish at the time. I don't know, I was sort of straightish at the time, going through a straightish phase at the time anyway. But no, but I did have the hots for Steve. I thought he was gorgeous. Stephen Hunter, I thought he was fucking gorgeous. That's when I started getting really gay. I've always been gay, I think. And I've always been gay, really. I just sort of like, I don't know. I was engaged to be married once as well. I'll tell you about that one day. For a couple of years, that was great. Went through a bisexual phase for about 10 years. And anyway, when I got to Melbourne, I started sort of like getting really the hots for guys, you know, a lot again. And I've always had the hots for guys because I was wanking. I'll tell you about that later. I'll tell you about the rest of history later on. I'm not going to repeat everything. Anyway, I was in Australia with the Hunters with the Hunters, and we were getting absolutely stoned on our faces every night, fucking for about 2 weeks on marijuana, like, man. Anyway, then I went off to Sydney on my own because I was on my. I went to Australia on my own. And I had family and friends over in Australia waiting for me. So I mean, sort of like there was like Mary Hunter and family and my Auntie Kay and Uncle Ted like were there as well. Like, so I went to, you know, so that's what got me to go to Australia, sort of thing. Say hello. Anyway, then I went to Sydney, like. And I got a job, you know, so I found in a shoe factory and managed to score with one of the guys who worked in them. I can't remember his name now. I can't remember the guy's name in Sydney, Australia. It was. Do you remember the shoe factory? It was you know, because I used to work for Carvella Shoes and Hatfit in Dickens and Jones, London, like many years ago, in the 1980s, like. But yeah, and then I sort of like managed to get some pot. Anyway, I was staying in the hostels, you know, the travellers' lodges, you know, in it was King's Cross. That's right. It was King's Cross I was staying in. That's right. Because this was before I'd come out. This is before I'd actually come out as gay, sort of thing. I mean, totally gay. I mean, you know, swung both ways for a while, but another story. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm talking to myself again. Of course, that's why I make movies. Duh. Anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna try my hats on. This is one hat. This is that hat. Anyway, so then I sort of I was staying in different travellers' hostels. I got to know a few hippies and shit. And I met this guy called Alan Scott, in Sydney, Australia. It was in the Travellers' Rest, actually. It was in the Travellers' Rest. It was in probably about March, April 1990. It must be about 60, 70 by now. And Alan Scott was making a movie called Gravity Ice Splice, like an animated movie, like I'm just trying on a few hats, my hats. Gravity Ice Splice. And there's another one I bought. And it's an animated movie. And I'm a poet, and I've always been writing poetry, like even especially when I'm stoned. I've always written poetry. And I've got another hat today, this one as well. Saw it on a mannequin and thought that suited me. Let's try this one. So I sort of I read Alan Benton, he called himself Alan Benton. Benton we call him. Well, Alan his personal name was. But I used to read Alan me poetry, and Alan used to showed me his pictures. And then we moved up to the bunk. That's right. No, this one in the Traveller's Rest. It was another hostel. There's another hostel. I can't remember what it was called, that one. But what's that one? What's that? And don't really go with this jacket. Hold on. Can I pause this a minute? Went to Luton, bought a hat. That way around. So that's all right. I don't know. Probably look better with a longer coat. Anyway, yes. Yes. So anyway, I met Alan in. Hey, where's my glasses gone? Can't see a thing without them. Australia, in Sydney, Australia, in 1990. That was 26 years ago, and that's better. You've got to punch them out. Don't want a trilby. Want to make it punch you. You've got to punch them out because they don't make the old hats anymore. Yeah. So style. Yes. So Alan showed me his pictures, and then we used to sell poetry and Alan used to, I used to write out. I used to started writing out my poetry. Just on. This is after I started LSD. I'll tell you about LSD, mate. I started writing out my poetry on cardboard and on bits of cardboard, like you ever did it? Used bits of cardboard. I wrote out my poetry, and we were selling his paintings on the streets in Sydney. So I became a street poet in Sydney for a while. I was selling his poetry on the streets of Sydney. In 1990, that's better, isn't it? Oh yeah, that's better. Oh, that's much better. I was selling poetry on the streets of streets of Sydney in Australia for a while. Right. I'm Billy, by the way. Selling poetry on the streets of Sydney with Alan, and because actually I got into LSD. That's when I got into LSD, sort of thing. I moved to the Barnclouth Hostel. I was still in Traveller's Rest, I think it was. Yeah, I was still in Traveller's Rest. That's right. I went to this bar, this Kiwi bar, and I bought a Smiley tab of LSD. This is the first time I'd ever tripped, right? I didn't trip straight away, because I took it back Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So, yes, I did. I did take it straight away. Hold on. Just going to pause it a minute. And I bought hang on a minute. I bought this hat like that, trilby hat. But I'm not quite sure about it, man. You know what I mean? Not really. It's little. Nah. I'm not really a trilby guy. I don't know. Trilby's alright, but it doesn't look right. So you've got to bash it out anyway. No, I was talking about LSD. Try bashing it out a bit. You can't buy these hats anymore, but you've got to bash them out a bit. Yeah, I was talking about the first LSD trip I took. Yeah, that's right. It was when I was living in the it was with Graham Wood in the Traveller's Rest. In fact, I think it was the day before Graham moved in. It was Mark Cosgrove. It's Mark Cosgrove stood about, the Mad Christian. I'm talking about LSD tonight. Everything. Mark Cosgrove used to about 25 years ago. Do you know 26 years ago, sorry. In the Traveller's Rest, they're in the shower. In the bathroom, in the toilet. Sorry, it was in the toilet. I bought one of these little gadgets, these cassette recorders to record voices, like when I was in Australia. And we did a rendition of sort of like John Denver, singing John Denver. What's it called? What's his song called? What's that John Denver song?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember what I've had. But anyway, yeah, it's Mark Cosgrove. I remember one day, Mark and me was sort of like walking around. He never took drugs. Mark never took drugs. He was a Christian. It's weird. I was a trippy hippie, smoking pot. Oh, he didn't let me smoke pot. I smoked pot outside, but not in the room, because he didn't want me. That's right. Because the day Mark Cosgrove, I remember. Actually, the Traveller's Rest. I've just remembered the Traveller's Rest, 1990. The day that Mark moved into the room. Because I was the first one there. Something. There's about three. There was a bunk there. Four of us in the room. Sort of 4 people in the room. This was in Sydney, Australia, 1990. I'm having my midnight life crisis. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, Mark. That was when I first got the marijuana from my mate at work in the shoe. Just when I was working in the shoes. That's right. In Sydney, that's right. This was in Sydney. I can't remember the guy's name. It might have been Keith or Kevin or something like that. It might have been Kevin, I'm not quite sure. We did horse racing once or twice, that was good. I love the horse racing in Australia because you have horse racing in pubs in Australia. Do you know you actually have horse racing in pubs in Australia? You can actually go down the pub lunchtime in Sydney, Australia. You go down the pub lunchtime, you know, after work or after work. We used to, when I was working in the shoe factory sort of thing, in Sydney, Australia, I think it was a Kev, I can't remember the name of the band. We went down to the pub after work, and we got stoned because he sold me the marijuana light. He was giving me sort of joints light. He got me stoned, and we went to the horse. We went down to the pub in bloody. That's better, isn't it? It looks better like that, doesn't it? Huh?
Yeah.
That does look a lot better, doesn't it? Do you think?
Yeah.
I like it like that. Yeah, that's more like it. I might take off the ribbon though. No, leave the ribbon on it for now. Leave the ribbon on it. That's right. But it looks better like a pork pie. A sort of like more. You got to punch it out a bit and sort of like roll it around. I want more of a round head, sort of round bit on top. But we went to the pubs in Sydney, and we used to like put dollar bills, dollar bets on horse racing, because in the pubs in Sydney, Australia. You had horse racing in the pubs. People, they don't watch football like they do in Britain, which I hate football. I really hate football. I do not want to sit in a pub, and watch football all afternoon. Like, this the hat I bought today. Let's see what it's like. I thought it was quite good. That's like sort of like. That's more like a sort of like cavalry sort of thing. I like. What do you think? Do you like that one?
Yeah.
Is that the best one? Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come sit over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the thing? I always talk when I'm fucking got pills and. Do you want beer powder?
No.
No, I might have a bit. Nah, I might. I might have a little bit. It's only 10:30, isn't it? I will have a bit more, in fact. I'm filling up for you. I'm going to go to work tomorrow. But anyway, we sit in Australia. We used to be able to smoke. In 1990, you could smoke in pubs, believe it or not. This is quite a nice outfit. That's quite nice. I bought this hat today. You could smoke you used to be able to smoke in Australian pubs. In pubs in 1990. Anyway, we used to get stoned, and then we used to go to the pub after work, like. And this only happened for a few weeks, probably, you know. And we used to sort of they didn't have football. They didn't have football in the pubs. If you sit in that seat, you're in the film, Lee.
Yeah, well,
right?
getting down here,
But yeah, they didn't have football in the pubs, which bores the shit out of me. But you could smoke in the pubs. But what they had was horse racing, which was great fun because you could sit there, right, having your pint and chat with your mates, right. And you put a bet on a horse, dollar bet, simple as that, just a $1 bet, like on a horse. And we used to spend all afternoon watching the horse race, all evening, sort of thing, for a few days anyway, watching horse racing in the pub. It was fantastic because you could place your bets, so you had the excitement of the horse winning the race or whatever. And it only cost about, you had 5 bets a night. That was $5. $5 bets, you know what I mean? For an evening's fucking betting. It was great fun in Australia. with the pubs. When like you can smoke in the pub, you can even drink alcohol in the pub. But we used to watch horse racing. You had betting shops in the pubs in Australia. That was great. And then anyway, my first LSD trip I took was a Smiley. That was down King's Cross.
What you crying about?
Yeah. Oh dear. Oh, there it is. And I was in my room. I was the only one in the room at the time. I took a tab of LSD. It was a Smiley, actually. No, the first one was just a white lightning or something, but it didn't do anything. The first one didn't do anything. Didn't do much. It gave me a little buzz. The first one. Second one I bought was a Smiley. No, it was a Smiley. I think the first real one, because I bought one and it wasn't very good, so I bought a Smiley. First good one I bought was a Smiley. First LSD trip. And when I was in Sydney, I started getting into. There was a Beatles festival, and I just started getting into the Beatles. Because we had these things called Sony Walkmans, right? In the 80s and 90s. In the 1980s and 1990s, we had Sony Walkmans. This is long before mobile telephones, really. In fact, this is long before you never even had mobile telephones, real, just the big ones, in the 1990s, man. In those days, we didn't have mobile phones in those days, but we had Sony Walkmans and we had cassettes. We had these cassettes, and I got really into the Beatles. I was getting really into the Beatles, listening a lot to the Beatles at the time, for some reason, in 1990. And anyway, I just bought a record. I bought the LSD. In fact, that's when I first bought the first one. That was the first Beatles record I really bought, actually. No, that was the first one I bought. The first one I bought was Sgt. Pepper. That's right. I think. Yeah, it was, because the first time I heard the song. So I bought the trip first. I bought a Smiley trip. So I always wanted to try. I was talking to Alan, talking about LSD, and I decided to buy a Smiley trip. I tried to buy a trip, so I got a Smiley trip. Anyway, I'm blabbing a bit too much. Anyway, then I bought Sgt. Pepper on a cassette, because we used to have these cassettes. We used to fit into Sony Walkmans. And I took a tab of LSD, and I went for a walk after taking a tab of LSD. And I was playing Sgt. Pepper. It was 1990 in Sydney, Australia. It was the first time I'd ever heard it, really. In fact, I think it was the first time I'd really listened to it. Probably not the first time I'd heard it. Probably it wasn't the first time I'd heard it. It was the first time I'd really sort of got into it a lot, I think. So anyway, I was listening to it. I bought Sgt. Pepper, and I was tripping to sort of Within You and Without You. And Lucy and the Sky with Diamonds started playing, that's right.